And the boys in blue, Chandler Honeycutt and Mike Mullis, joining us here inside the Pirate Radio studios. Hello, Mully.
Hey, buddy. How are you?
I am great. Really enjoyed having you here yesterday.
Yeah, it was good.
And talking to you and B-Man, and I think we're getting that camera fixed. Chon was here as well. So we had a lot of fun talking to you about the selection show. John said, I love a good bracket. I need a Greenville regional bracket. I, too, love brackets. Coach Mack had an interesting observation on the brackets, Mully.
Okay.
Every ACC team that's hosting got an SEC team as a number 2. Every SEC team that's hosting got a non-Power 5 school as a 2. I don't know. No comment, but interesting observation nonetheless. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I'm trying to think of a justification for that other than Homer, but
well,
it's I don't know.
Coincidence?
Well, I don't. I mean, are there any coincidences? I don't.
And I looked it up and ran them down. I'll do it again real quick. So Georgia's got UNCW, A&M's got Louisiana, Vanderbilt. No, there are 2.
All right, so far those are also not or top 8s.
Arkansas got Louisiana Tech,
top 8.
Tennessee, Southern Miss,
top 8.
Kentucky, Indiana State.
Okay, hold serve.
And is that it? That is it. So
I think there's your
explains
answer.
It a little better.
Yeah, your top 8s are going to get lesser 2s.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
So
we talked it out.
Glad we worked through that.
But it is pretty, and then again, all the ACC teams. I'll run through those again real quick too. North Carolina got LSU. Virginia got Mississippi State.
Let's take a timeout right there. That Carolina LSU, like, okay, we went. Carolina's a national seed, and they still got LSU. You know what I mean? That almost goes against the theory that we just had.
Okay.
But I think based off the based off of the resume of LSU for the entirety of the season, they're probably a middle of the pack too.
Yeah, they just got white smoking hot.
Right, and if you how much is that uniform worth? Like getting off the bus, walking into the stadium, is that worth the run a game, 2 runs a game? That is a traditional, obviously, defending national champions, but that's one of those names that just kind of strikes fear into the heart of other baseball teams.
To run through the rest real quick, Virginia gets Mississippi State.
Okay.
Who was looked at as a strong 2, right?
Yep.
Clemson gets Vandy. And are there any more? NC State got South Carolina, who's an SEC. So Florida State gets Alabama. It is interesting that it all worked out like that.
It is. So. But the teams that you named SEC-wise are the quote-unquote lesser of the SEC teams. So, it's interesting. The math behind all this is unimaginable, I guess. It's kind of math that I don't. I mean, if that can't be done on a calculator, I don't have a chance anyway. But I mean, look, Florida gets in, and College of Charleston does not get in, and I mean, it's all kind of weird, at least in 4 or 5 examples.
Yeah, and which is why, if I'm ECU, I'm ignoring the chatter about you got a host spot because your AD is on the committee or whatever.
And so it's not to cut you off, but to cut you off. I was just getting ready to say, Chan, while we're talking about this, look up the committee members, because I would love to see who the committee members are that and what the representation is, what the correlation is to that.
Max said it was 7 for 7 as far as
schools represented and schools that got in.
Yeah. And also one of the big ones is somebody you talk about, right? Coastal.
Yeah. And look, I mean, I think part of that strategy going down, to the meeting was, hey, it's Gillies last year. Their guy's the head guy. There's some heartstrings to be tugged there. Coastal, still is thought of as a national champion from years back and kind of America's darling when they did it. I think there was enough of a storyline there that it made it hard for them to keep off, especially with their guy being front and center to represent them.
All right, I think. Chandler, we almost tied. Tie goes to the Chandler, so you got it. Go ahead, Sean.
All right, first on the list, East Carolina's AD, John Gilbert.
Host.
Matthew Hogue from Coastal Carolina.
Got in. A bubble, right?
Yeah, real bubble.
Nathan Pine from Air Force. Mark Harlan from Utah. Scott Dolson from Indiana.
Got in.
Michael Alford, Florida State. Mike Buddy, U.S. Military Academy. Jay Artigues, Southeastern Louisiana University. And Sherrod Clinkscales, Indiana State University.
So I got 4 there that didn't get in.
So, some of those, yeah. But and Indiana State not hosting.
Right.
They did lose to Evansville
Did
in their
not win
championship.
that's right. They did not win their conference tournament, which is how we end up with Evansville.
So it looks a little less shady when we go over those.
Yeah,
things.
it does. And that was something I had been talking about, looking that up. I just hadn't had a chance. It's been very, very busy. But I really thought there would be a Florida on there, to be honest with you, because they're one that just kind of baffles me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you talked about it yesterday as to why they're not. You didn't say you agreed or disagreed, really. You said here's why.
Yeah.
They were so highly ranked going into the year. They, just like ECU, stayed up in the polls despite some struggles for a while, right?
That's right.
And then they did end up with a losing SEC record, but all those metrics that the committee loves, I guess, all the computers love Florida.
That's right. Well, and it's the all-powerful RPI, and their RPI obviously doesn't have a choice but to be good. And and I hear Cliff come out talking about the RPI, and everybody does. Cliff has done a masterful job of managing it, as we've talked about a lot. But there's a lot of weight put on. Again, I don't know that there's a huge difference in this and the old BCS, where it's like nobody really understands the math or the equation that goes into play here. What do you got, Champ?
The last list that I went down, Sherrod Clinkscales was on that list. He actually was off, and the guy that replaced him, Florida Athletic Director Scott Strickland.
Here we go.
So there you go. So we the one you read was maybe last year or something, and the only change.
It was January of this year.
Okay, but the only change is the Clinkscale guy that's gone off, and the Florida AD got on, and then you have Florida getting in. So there's some merit to that. I mean, you got to wonder if College of Charleston, if Holbrook and his crowd had a representative in the room, if they would be in. Again, that's probably, to me, that's the biggest snub of this bracket.
Thank you, Kurt, on Facebook for pointing that out as well. Kansas State AD went on in March. So there you go.
Yeah.
All right. And on the metrics note, one more time. I brought this up yesterday. I didn't fully explain it completely, but Mully, you've always talked about Cliff Godwin and his scheduling, but it's not just about who Cliff schedules. It's almost like he has the matrix on who his opponents are going to schedule, which in turn helps out your strength of schedule. And you say he's got it down to a science, and that has proven to help the Pirates more times than not.
Yeah, I don't know that even it's my opinion, right? Like, you just look at the proofs in the pudding, and it turns out every year. And he's taken teams. You look at Ryder early, and then you look at what the successes that Ryder had, and that, you get your wins and losses, your opponent's wins and losses, and your opponent's wins and losses, and they're all on a weighted, like 25%, 50, 25% kind of deal, but you still get credit or blame, if you will, for how that goes both ways on their schedule. So, it's it's something I don't fully understand it. And then you get the difference in the weighted amounts for a home or a neutral site or the way those things weigh differently. So you could have a great example of that is the Campbell game. Had it been played the last week of the regular season, that would have been a quad 3 game because it was a home game. So it just there's a lot of moving parts, and there was conversations had, and here's my simplistic view on it. And I don't know, again, y'all, I don't know if this is 100% right, but it seems to make sense the more I watch and the more I listen to really smart people that are involved in it, and one of those being Coach O. It's really not the top 16 teams. It's really about when I'm talking about getting in as a host, it's really the top 20 teams, and those last 4 or 5 are going to have very similar resumes. They lay them out, and then it brings in things like facilities and the historical success of how regionals, obviously the regionals have been a huge hit in Greenville and will continue to be. All those things start to play into the decision to go there.
Does conference play into it, not just because of conference name, but how many other teams from that conference are already hosting? Does you think that factors in at all?
I think when you're the ACC or the SEC, it does, but I don't think when you're in the American, it has anything to do with it because you're already taking, quite frankly, you're taking a hit for being in the American when the conversation even starts.
Right, but could like Wake or Duke or somebody get punished because there's so many ACC teams hosting?
And the geography of those teams, and look, I mean, it is what it is. Duke is and ironically, Chan and I both sitting here in Duke Blue, but just a complete accident. There's nothing to be inferred there. But
you've been talking a lot about Duke lately,
I've already heard that, but they are an interesting story to me. And the fact that if they can't host at the Pro Park, they just can't host. They just don't have the facilities to do it, which quite frankly makes it more amazing to me what Chris Pollard has been able to do there when you're bringing players in there and they're seeing what amounts to a high school facility. Now, their facilities, amenities are okay, but the actual playing facility, the stands and all, leaves a lot to be desired.
Chandler, I was outside puffing a dart, and Mully rolled up, windows down. Guess what song was blared? Devil with the blue dress, blue dress, blue dress, devil with the blue dress on.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, Mully's good at improv. Yes, and. Thank you, Mully. Good job.
It was good.
Alex, trivia. Pirates will be home for the Greenville Regional. They played 30 home games this year. How many of those games did they win?
27.
26. Close.
You were close.
It was whatever that team's name was in the LeClaire Classic.
Southeastern Louisiana.
Duke.
Now he's going to
So now he's going to try to validate the fact that he really knew the answer, but his math wasn't very good. But he can recall the opponents.
You got two.
And I'll give you a hint. The other two were in conference.
Intern Zach probably remembers this team because they celebrated like they won the World Series.
It wasn't Wichita State.
No. They both wear green. And gold.
Oh,
Charlotte.
And
North Texas.
And Skip Holt's dream job.
USF.
South Florida, yep. Those are the 4 losses. So you like the Pirates here at home, but you like them, Mully, if everybody's healthy and good to go. And that is the question. Let's revisit that conversation from yesterday. Who would you throw Friday against Evansville?
Zach Root.
Okay.
And, give me all you can, Biggin, and then you figure it out. Here's the interesting key to maybe the whole thing, or not even key, but what an interesting part of what Wake Forest's decision is going to have to be. VCU is a scrappy club. They are a legitimately good baseball team. Are they good enough to make Wake throw Chase Burns? I don't know. Now, Wake's got several accomplished guys.
Yeah, don't they have a 1B also?
They have, that's a far cry from their 1A. Chase Burns is a different deal. But do they throw that guy? Again, if they burn Burns the first night, it doesn't mean that they're bad all of a sudden because, yes, they have depth, in the pen and on the front line. But that's an interesting thing to me. I think everybody in the country would love to see you Savage and Chase Burns going at it. And, look, I'm going to work under the assumption based off everything that we're hearing and kind of preclude my opinion and say, hey, everybody must be at least healthy enough. This time of the year, I don't know that anybody's 100% healthy. It's you get beat up as it goes along. And Chase Burns, again, just to use him as an example, has been on a pitch count. He's had some issues of his own. Right now, we're just going to work under the assumption that, it's manageable where we are health-wise. And, if nothing else, if you add – and I've just go back to this past week in the conference tournament. If you add 5 innings from Trey Savage at the quality he's capable of, and 5 innings from Zach Root at the level he's capable of, and then if you could get 2 or 3 from Lusfer Shinkman at his expected level, think about what you've added back to the effort.
MLB stat heads love the WAR, wins above replacement. Right. We got at least one more win. And those things you just talked
100%.
about, Mully, if not more.
100%. There's a WAR stat now for college. And I think Savage was at was it Savage or Cunningham that's like at 4?
Right, which is pretty insane,
It's a big,
right?
Well, and you're talking about a 56-game season. So that's almost 10% of your games.
Yeah. Shirley, can we have Savage real quick? I want to play a little bit of that because Mully, unless he is completely acting he sounds like he's good
let's
to
go for it. Right.
So here's Trey Savage yesterday.
It sucked being out for this week, but I learned a lot from it.
You're feeling good, ready to go?
I'm feeling great.
If you get the call for the Saturday night game, that's usually the big game of a region. Just take us through what your thought process will be when you're in the bullpen warming up, and just what you'll be thinking about.
I mean, I'm not gonna treat it like any other game. It's definitely one of the most important games in my career. But I mean, if I stick to my processes, my routines, I know I can go out there and perform the way I need to perform.
When you're in a bullpen like that, what do you see that you say, hey, I got my best stuff tonight?
I don't think too much about that. I'm more worried about just going out there and competing for the team.
Trey's man of few words usually, but he is speaking in his same confident, I'm good tone that he did before this whole thing happened. So,
well, look again. We have to. I mean, we're on the outside looking in, and we have to assume that everybody's good, and we'll see how it all plays out, and whatever happens, I'm sure that. It will obviously be their best effort. And I think Trey's very wise, and this shows a lot of maturity in saying, listen, I've just got to stay to my routine and trust in everything I've done to get to this point. So, I mean, look, we certainly all hope that he's, where we want to see him, where, all of a sudden it becomes Trey Day again, and, he toes the bump and you feel like you got you feel like you should win that game, not you got a chance to win that game. So, should be cool.
Mully doesn't do guarantees, but he puts out statements and is right more than he's wrong. You did that with Carter Cunningham going into the year. You kind of let out two, I think, yesterday. Watch Duke and Norman. Duke's going to win that thing. The other was, is Carter about to get hotty? He's about
see,
to
the thing
bounce
is,
out of this thing?
with a guy like him, it's not about getting hot again. He's just that good. I mean, and at least this year, the body of work proves out that he is like one of the best hitters in the country, or has been this year. You can't keep that guy down forever. So, again, if I'm Evansville, I'm looking at the stat lines going, best conference player of the year. Dude hit, I mean, at one point he was hitting 500, right? He hovered at that 400 number, give or take 10 points all year. Yeah, it didn't work out well down in Florida, nor did a lot of other things. But you got to highlight and kind of circle his name and go, this dude's a dude. I mean, he's a guy. There's a reason these numbers are here. We can't keep him down forever. Now, that when you're facing the staffs like what are coming in here, and obviously looking ahead to hopefully a Wake Forest matchup, don't expect many 4-for-4 nights. Mm-hmm. Right? Go out there and take in the quality of the bats, take in the fact of the battles, because when you're facing those type of guys, man, you're not going to have many opportunities to hit bad pitches because they're not going to throw many. Yeah. So it's a matter of extending at bats, trying to get that pitcher to make a mistake. The longer you stay in a bat, the better your chances of them making a mistake, hanging or breaking a ball, throwing something you can hit. I just think they're going to, with Carter and with the whole team, there's going to be a new level of resolve. And guys, think about it. You see you see Zach Root go out there on Friday night. As a hitter, that changes your whole thought process. And I'm not trying to be ugly towards anybody, but if you take one of the guys that has had to make let's call it what it is. If you see Eric Ritchie's pitching that night, you don't know how long he's going to go. You don't have any idea if he's going to be able to throw strike. And so there is a mindset that goes along with that. Not that they're not supporting Eric Ritchie, not that they're going to do everything they can behind him, but you can't help but as a human to have a oh no here we go again moment when Ritchie struggles. And I hate to pick on him because I'm not, but it's just a fact of the matter that we've all seen it all year.
Mike Mullis joining us. All right, couple questions for Mully real quick. Jamie says, does Mully think there is anything to fans being upset with the AAC last weekend in their treatment of ECU? Is there a vendetta?
Man, I don't know. There certainly is. Here's the way I look at things like this. If there's any one isolated incident, you go, well, that was kind of creepy. But as little things start to add up, then they're made into a bigger deal than maybe they would have been if they were an individual situation. Yeah. So I mean, obviously, I think there was a lot of things that were maybe poorly handled or in poor taste. But when you're the big dog, and quite frankly, when you look at the AAC from a baseball standpoint, you go, which of these is not like the others? Between the facilities, the investment that's made in the program, the product that goes on the field, the players, the coaching staff, the fan support, we don't fit the mold. And quite frankly, we give everybody in that league a reason to be jealous and be a little pissy with us.
There are a lot of different ways to play out a conference baseball tournament. Was it the ASUN that's really funky we were talking about last week? Do you think, with Cliff's comments and everything, will we see a change in the AAC tournament format?
I can tell you that knowing Cliff Godwin, he's not going to quit trying.
Yeah.
And so it's maybe the old the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And quite frankly, again, it only hurts the teams like ours because we have greater aspirations. So you look at an ACC tournament where you play the most you're going to play is 4 baseball games.
Right.
And you can and playing a 4-game week is normal. So you can manage that.
This might be fence riding. I don't like the talking about this after the fact. And
yeah, it sounds like sour grapes.
It sounds like sour grapes, but I do agree with the points that, hey, look at what this conference is doing.
Yeah.
If you can go into it knowing you're playing 4, you can set up your pitching.
No question about it.
I like that a lot more than the way it is.
Well, you look at it this way. We played 5 games. We didn't play in the championship.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? And Duke plays 4 games and wins the whole cotton picking thing.
Yeah.
So that in and of itself makes you go, wait a minute, why are we doing this? Look, and I, old school double elimination.
Well, it
tournaments.
could be to get more games, Mullis, because they're selling so many tickets.
Oh, it could be. That's right. I mean, the stands are packed every game. Look, that's my thing with it. I think whoever wins it, the regular season winner this year, regardless of who it was, obviously we know it was East Carolina, should host the conference tournament next year.
And I will be that guy that says, well, wait, but why not do it the year of? Because you would have to prepare for it. It would take
travel and the logistics of trying to pull that off.
So that's why you do it.
Yeah, that's why you. Yeah, so so theoretically next year East Carolina would host and the
regular season champ or tournament champ.
I think it's the regular season.
Okay.
I think again that's a much more illustrative body of work when you're looking at the totality of the season. But yeah, I think and quite frankly, if you went to the conference tournament winner. And so it would have been played in New Orleans this year. I could see, some fans, hey, let's go to New Orleans and go check out the game.
Also, you don't get anything for if you win the conference tournament, you go to the NCAA tournament. That would be a pretty good gift for the regular season champ for the following season. So I like that too. Also, Mully, would anyone be ejected if a catcher moves out of the way of a pitch so the ump gets hit?
Yes.
Okay.
If it's thought to be on purpose.
Have you seen that happen?
Yes.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I have. Yeah, I've seen that happen.
Okay.
I was a catcher.
There was a call the other day. What was it? Catcher getting out of the box too early.
It was catcher's balk.
Catcher's balk, which I don't think I've seen.
I've had that. I've seen that twice. Yeah.
Okay.
You see it sometimes on pitch outs, depending on what the umpire, the mood of the umpire. But you get certain umpires that's like they only know one part of the rule book. It might be hey, all the guys back in the dugout, or
they love that.
It might be the balk rule, or it might be, hey, you got to take your necklace off. I mean, those guys seem to. But I've seen a catcher's balk on 2 different occasions, and as soon as that play happened, I said I was sitting with Malcolm and some of the guys, and I said that's a catcher's balk.
This was the SEC tournament.
That's right. Yeah. So I didn't. Now I did not pick up on the interference, but I did. He left the catcher's box too early.
Yeah. All right. Well, Mully, good stuff, man.
Yeah.
2 days in a row. Appreciate you joining us.
What are you doing tomorrow?
I'll be right here, and you are welcome.
I got to say, with our collared shirts on and all, we kind of like we need one more, and we'll go play in the Super Bowl or something. That kind of kind of looks like what we're geared up to do.
I need to talk to you about my EA Sports PGA golf game that I'm killing right now.
Probably talking to the wrong person.
Yeah. It has got me to love golf, though, Mully.
Well, I've got a couple sons that would probably love to talk to you about it. Maybe y'all get together, play some Fortnite or something, or Call of Duty. But that's it's kind of not my deal.
Mully, thank you. You can check him out on the radio. I don't know what station he'll be on, but he'll be calling ECU baseball with Scooter.
That's right.
Yep.